of the suspects, where we recovered multiple weapons and several hundred rounds of ammunition. The great work of this department led to the arrest of the suspects and likely saved countless lives. We stand behind the work of the department and are forever grateful to the tipster who was brave enough to alert the department of a planned mass shooting for the 4th of July. With that said, let's move forward with the business of the day, the second quarter crime stats. As we begin the discussion about the second quarter crime stats, it's important to place the data into the appropriate context. Here are just a few points I want to bring out. For the past 2 years, the world has experienced an unprecedented global pandemic. The United States saw a rise in civil unrest. People lost their jobs at a high rate. People lost loved ones at a high rate. Mental health crisis soared. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a severe recession, one categorically different from those of the past. While many white-collar workers were able to shift to remote work, people in the service industry, gig economy, and other sectors face extended unemployment, making the COVID-19 recession the most unequal in U.S. history. These challenges were likely compounded for people with a criminal record who faced a difficult labor market even at the best of times. As a nation, we face challenges in meeting basic needs, especially during the first year of the pandemic. Many of us endured trauma caused by the sickness and death. Families faced disintegration as parents and caregivers caught or succumbed to the disease. These sudden and unprecedented hardships jeopardized the stability of families and communities alike. Combined with the disruptions caused by lockdowns and social distancing measures, they may have upset the informal social processes, such as connections to neighborhoods, connections to family members, connections to employers, connection to public safety, that some researchers believed help keep neighborhoods safe. The Richmond Police Department is committed to keeping our residents and visitors safe. So now, let's take a look at the second quarter data that we have here. Okay. Overall, major crime, as we take a look at it, is up for the second quarter. We're going to take a look at some of the categories that have caused this increase, such as burglary, arson, larceny, vehicles being victimized. It's up about 23%. You will see these in categories as we move through. For the year, we're looking at about a 28% increase over major crimes. That is all crimes that we see here. What we're seeing greatly is that violent crime is not the main driver of this increase, but property crime, specifically vehicles. We're looking at asking people that if you see something about vehicles, especially when it comes down to catalytic converter, in the middle of the night, a pair of legs sticking from up under the car is just not normal. Please call 911. Lock your cars, lock your windows, lock your doors, and outside you lock your buildings, and always, always store your guns in a safe location. Storing your gun in a car, I've been saying this since I've been here. We continue to say it. You don't store your gun in the car. Remove valuables from your car. We look at our homicide rate for the second quarter, and it's flat. 18 on 18. Then the homicide rate for the year is also flat, ending for the second quarter as well, 31 on 31. We have a new category. We have added 2 new categories here from questions that we were given last time. And this is homicides by firearms. And we're looking at the second quarter here, 18 on 18 for that quarter. And then for the year, firearm by homicide, we are looking at an increase of 3 more, slightly up this year than last year. Okay? Second quarter for sexual assault and rapes, we are up about 14%. That is a difference of 2 incidents. Rape for the year is going to be up as well slightly. That's a difference of about 3 as well. Robbery. We are looking at robbery being up 2%. That's a difference of 2 that we're seeing for the quarter. Robbery for the year, we are seeing some progress here. Robbery for the year, we are seeing a decrease. That's about an 18% decrease, difference of 29 29 fewer robberies than we had last year at this time. Aggravated assaults. We're looking at aggravated assaults being up by 6%. That is a total of 10. For the year, it's up 11%, is a difference of about 35. When we start, this is another category that we added. This is non-fatal shootings. This is a new category that we also added, also when we talked about the number of homicides from firearm. We're looking at, and something to be cognizant of, this is a subset of aggravated assaults. So as you can see, non-fatal shootings are down 2 for the year, for the quarter, and it's coming out flat for the year. Thank you. Violent crime overall, we're looking at about an increase of 10 additional for the quarter, the second quarter of this year. And at the end of the second quarter, we are up slightly with a difference of about 9 incidents in violent crime. And that is coming into the beginning of summer. Arson. Here's another category that is starting to rise up significantly, but as you can see in 2021, 2020, we know what happened there. That was the beginning of the pandemic, and also social unrest dropped significantly in 2021. However, what is the breakdown of this? We're seeing that for the quarter, we have 15 additional 15 structures of fire, 15 structure fires, as well as 6 vehicles and 2 super cans that were set on fire. If you remember last year, last quarter, we had a juvenile that we were looking at who was actually setting a lot of super cans on fire. This thus been addressed, and he is not a suspect in any of these arsons at this point in time. For the year, our arsons are up as well, 16 additional. If you take a look at that, that is about a 255% increase. Burglaries. We're here where we see some, where we're starting to see some headway. That is a difference of 10 less in this particular quarter compared to the previous quarter. For the year, however, we are starting to see it's still up by 21%, 71%. Excuse me, a difference of 71 incidents, not percent. Larceny. And encompassing larceny are a lot of things such as motor vehicle thefts, catalytic converters, theft from buildings, and things of that nature. You can see that that is quite a big number when you start to look at larceny. I think this equates to about a 31% increase. That's about a 406 difference in incidents that we've had for the quarter. And we are seeing vehicles being the main target of that. Car break-ins, theft of vehicles, as well as catalytic converters. We're also seeing quite a few packages that are also being stolen. We remember, like I said before, lock your cars, keep your valuables in your car out of sight, lock your windows, lock your doors, and also your gates. Avoid having your packages being stolen by using storage lockers. Ship it to your business, have a neighbor pick it up, and if you can, just schedule it to arrive when you're at home. This is an increase here is 791 additional larcenies for the year, and that's about a 33% increase. We, Public Affairs, put a video out earlier in the year. We're going to play this at the end. It's not very long, but hopes that people will go and click on this and watch it later. Okay, it goes to our YouTube page. It will be played at the end of the presentation. Motor vehicle theft. Up 17%. That's a difference of 34 more. If you're a resident in Richmond, you can actually do something about this. Lock your car every time you leave it. Don't leave your car running, even if they're running to the convenience store. Take your key fob with you. Also, do not leave your valet key in the car. That is a great deal of how these thefts happen, is that the valet key is left in the car, and people are just going through cars, raffling through cars, and will take the valet key and take the car. For the year to date, we're seeing a 31% increase in motor vehicle theft. That's a difference of 109. Property crime, overall, we're seeing a 26% increase. That's a difference of 458. This includes all those things I said before about vehicle theft, theft from cars, catalytic converters, and the like. Property crime for the year is up 32%. And this is a whopping difference of over 1,000 right now. When you start to look at it, this is what's driving crime right now. Not violent crime, but property crime is pushing the envelope for us here in Richmond, Virginia. Our violent crime reduction efforts, We have been well involved in Operation Red Ball. These are the numbers that we have here for Operation Red Ball. I have to use the screen because I can't read this on the paper. Felony, 188. Misdemeanor charges, 141. Warrants, 80. And guns off the street they're going to be 276 guns taken off the street since its inception. The next slide will give you an idea of what kind of charges Operation Red Ball is going after and actually getting. You're seeing stolen firearms, brandishing a firearm, firearms with a switch, transport loaded weapon. These are weapons charges. We have we have a robbery in there, extended magazine, reckless handling of a firearm, concealed weapons, narcotics charges are also in there as well too. We do have a few charges here, possession of firearm by a juvenile as well too. But these are the things, and these are the actually charges that we are addressing when it comes down to Operation Red Ball. When we start talking about Operation Red Ball, what are the things that we're looking for? How do we identify someone who actually is going to be looked at by Operation Red Ball? We have intel that comes into the police department, confidential informants. We also have strong community ties that actually members of the community come and give us information about those who are actually pulling triggers. Current investigation, previous investigations, we look at those with a history of gun violence, including those who are currently under suspicion or under investigation for actually pulling the trigger if they're out of jail. We are keeping our eye on them as well too. But it is not just a list that you don't make that list willy-nilly. It takes a little bit to get on that list. And also, some of the areas that we're looking at it in a very evidence-based manner. We've gone back 5 years to find out where exactly the violent crime occurs, and we've located some areas that 2% of the land mass for the last 5 years account for 26% of the violent crime here in Richmond. So it's evidence-based. We have done our homework. It's one of the good arrests that we've done. You've seen these go out with our PIO and our media announcements about the number of guns and weapons that they've taken off the street. These two were, firearm by felon, and they were possession of heroin, cocaine, oxycodone, felon with 2 narcotics charges. This is the type of things that we are actually addressing when it comes down to Operation Red Ball. Next. Yep. Firearms seized for the second quarter total, 284. Year to date, 532 firearms taken off the street. We're looking at, in conjunction with other violations, concealed weapons violations, narcotics, and also some that were reported stolen and missing. Okay? But we are also in partnership with as many people as we can, because we cannot police our way out of gun violence or violence. And right now we are still deeply involved in our National Public Safety Partnership. That includes a partnership with the federal government, the ATF, FBI, DEA, U.S. Attorney's Office. We're learning from peers, doing peer exchanges and adopting best practices, various practices and functions. Real-time crime center, we're learning exactly how we can go about putting one together. And the benefits of it, having one here in Richmond, and that it's not really a crime center as much as it is as an intelligence center that helps us to actually make evidence-based decisions on crime going on in the city as well too. Also during this quarter we assisted the U.S. Marshal's Office with Operation Washout, which netted 20 fugitive arrests. 12 were wanted gang members, 8 were fugitives, and some of the charges, as you can see here, include murder, rape, robbery, drug distribution, abduction, firearm violations, and probation violation. 6 firearms were taken off the streets, illegal drugs, $41,000 in cash, and this was a great operation by a great partnership with us and our federal partners to actually make the streets of Richmond safer. However, like I said before, we cannot police our way out of this. It takes the community to actually make a difference. For the second quarter, we did quite a few things that come down to community engagement and public safety. It's about building relationships. It's about building relationships with the community. We have pop-up summer series. This is one that we took place at Belt Atlantic on June 30th. Please join us for the upcoming ones that we're having in Gilpin, August 25th, and Southwood on September 29th. We'll continue to do these as well too in these pop-up areas. It's part of our summer gun violence interdiction. We also had one in Mosby Court here recently, but that will be next quarter. We'll report out on that on the 28th. Some of the people who are participating: Richmond Ambulance Authority, Department of Emergency Communications, the Richmond Fire Department, Department of Social Services, Virginia's Probation and Parole, the ATF, U.S. Attorney's Office, Little Hands, and Real Life. But there's one that is missing on there, and that is the communities that we've gone into. The communities have come out and just tons of people, tons of kids having a good time, having conversations about their community, having conversations about what are the best ways to actually improve our relationships to make their neighborhood safer. We also recognize in this quarter National Gun Violence Awareness Week, where we actually partnered with some businesses. Not only was the City Hall lit in orange, but we also lit our police station in orange too. And here is one of the partnerships that we had at the Sugar Shack Donuts. And as you can see, the Flying Squirrels came out and participated as well too. We also concentrate really heavily on our youth empowerment and being involved with the youth, mentoring the youth. We build skills, empowering kids, connecting kids to build relationships, and to actually see officers as humans. The point that we would really, really want to make with this is to increase the positive contacts that we have, not only with the community, but definitely with the kids that we come in contact with, so they see us as a resource, as someone that will be there to help them, and that's what we're there for. One of the programs that I really want to just highlight right now is the pilot program developed by RPD's Community Care Unit, Cooks. Cooks stands for Culinary Occupation and Other Keystone Skills. Celebrity chef Sammy Davis Jr. from Food Network. If you're not familiar with the Food Network, that is his name. Chef Davis has been on Chopped and Redemption, teaching culinary skills and life skills to kids, preparing the kids to enter the culinary field and to actually prep them for job placement. We would like to give thanks to Bond Secures, our partner, who helped make this possible. 10 youth have been involved in the 8-week program, learning culinary skills, job preparation, job placement, and we would like to invite you out at this time to the graduation on August 23rd. More details to follow. We also continue to support local field teams, and here we are hanging out with the Little League baseball team. Parney came out as well too with the Flying Squirrels, and also Major League Baseball was there as a partner as well too. Next slide. There we are hanging out, throwing out the first ball. Also this quarter we had the return of the chaplaincy program. Dozens of chaplains will assist and be a community resource as well as a resource to our officers as well. And thank you for everyone in the media who actually were able to make that graduation. Powell Summer Camp is continuing. Many different activities, including basketball, bowling for over 85 kids. We have been there year after year developing critical life skills for our kids in the summertime as well too. Our RPD band continues to grow. Well, we had a slide. I don't know what happened to it. We have an RPD band that continues to grow and actually provides music at certain events for us, for the RPD and in some communities as well. But also our recruitment efforts actually saw some growth this particular quarter as well too. That is Major Daryl Goings right there, who actually shared a billboard. If you turn to the next page, he actually shared a billboard. He does not have his billboard up there. He actually shared a billboard with his son. And we are starting to see some benefits from our recruiting efforts here as well. We have a recruit class 125 that is currently in the academy right now. And we are well on our way to having another class as soon as possible as we put things together. And we are also seeing a great increase in our laterals coming back to Richmond, those coming back and those coming from other departments as well too. Here are some good officers that we want to recognize. We want to recognize Officer Gilbert, Sergeant Peterson, and Sergeant Ferreras for the great work that they did over the year. Officer Gilbert ended up being the 4th Precinct's Rookie of the Year. He's known as a problem solver. He does great deal in helping to deliver basketballs to kids in needs in courts and just to foster relationships with kids as well too. Sergeant Peterson is a superstar in his own right. We also keep him in our thoughts and prayers. I see he's deployed right now, but he's a newly promoted sergeant. But as soon as he hit the ground running, he found ways to make things more efficient in his unit, making sure that officers were well equipped and well trained. He mentors officers, as well as being a constant present on the street when dealing with kids and talking to kids and mentoring them as well too. Officer Ferrez is an officer who is just everywhere. He is everywhere. He does so much with so many people. He actually investigated a young man who brought a gun to school and actually did a great deal of work not only in the criminal side of the investigation, but making contact with that kid to see exactly what was going on in his life, to actually make him feel like, well, why would you want to bring a gun to school? Trying to make a change in the young man's life as well. Also this quarter, we saw the annual department recognition of the Officers of Excellence. Over 100 officers were recognized for their accomplishments and their awards as well too. And so, with that, that concludes the presentation for the second quarter crime stats for RPD. Yeah, there's no sound to it, is there? So, okay. Well, there is sound. There's no words. And that can be found on our YouTube page. So, okay. Questions about the second quarter crime stats?
Chief, thank you so much for doing this. I know you were talking about property crime, you mentioned that's up 32% at Richmond. Could you explain that a little bit? And then other question I had for you was, coming out of the Richmond School Board, there are some reports that there may be some issues with some of the cameras in the school system, maybe not working at this point in time. Are you all aware, and, you know, could you talk about the importance of getting that rectified?
Let's start with the latter question. I am not aware. It's possible that it is aware at the school level, but we don't know. We believe that cameras are a great benefit when it comes down to safety and crime. They change behavior, for one. However, it's not my position to speak on the school board or the school system's camera system. They would know their camera system best. Maybe it's, I don't know, I couldn't speculate on it, but we would stand by with them if they need any assistance in assessing the camera system and what would be best for the camera system. So, and yes, property crime is what's pushing overall crime. It's going up. We're talking about larcenies. We're talking about your vehicle being more likely to be victimized than you are here in the city of Richmond. But our efforts for the last couple of years have been really pushing towards violent crime and trying to get violent crime down. We're asking for the community's help when it comes down to property crime. Number one, do not leave your gun in the car, period. Don't. The middle console is not a place you store your gun. We have seen where people are actually going now, just checking for the unlocked door to go inside to see if there's a gun inside, and they are being successful. So we're asking that. We're asking people to make sure that you don't, you secure your packages when you have a delivery. You know, there are people who just will follow the Amazon and UPS person until they see where they can have an opportunity to take something. So these are the type of things that we can do as a community to help overall bring crime down.
As it relates to Operation Red Ball, there were some concerns that we saw in the community that people in government housing were mostly being targeted and some concerns about racial profiling. Do you understand those concerns and how would you respond to them?
It's not about race. We address criminal behavior. And when we go back and we look at the evidence and we look at the data, the 2% of the land mass that accounted for the 26% of the violent crime for over the 5 last years has been in some of those housing projects. And that is where we are concentrating. And the community pop-ups, when we pop up and we actually talk to people and we're talking to them, that we are welcome there. They want us to come in and make a difference.
Related to Operation Red Ball, can you talk us through like how someone landing on that list later leads to these arrests? Like how are officers targeting them? Like what does that look like in the field?
I'm not quite sure. What do you mean?
Well, intelligence that you're talking about, someone ends up on the list, how do they wind up arrested? Like are officers just following them around, or how tell us how these charges come about?
I can't really get into the tactics of it, but yes, some of it is surveillance that we do on people. And some of it is very precise surveillance. We have CIs, we have community informants, we have strong ties to the community who actually says, you know what, this is what's going on at this time in this location. And we take a look at it, and we see criminal behavior, we react to it. So I think that's the best way to answer your question, if I'm answering it correctly.
I mean, I guess, yeah, is stop and frisk, I mean, what kind of just,
No,
what are you?
no, stop and frisk, no, that's outrageous. No.
These people who are arrested through the operation, do all of them have a criminal background? Do some of them not have a criminal background?
There have been those who don't have a criminal background, but for the most part, most of them have some kind of contact with the criminal justice system at one point in time.
On the 4th of July, I know you don't want to talk about that anymore, but
You're
you
correct.
mentioned that
You're correct.
the,
Next question. We ended the
actually,
discussion.
you had
I
said that
ended the
your charges
discussion.
were the same at the federal level, and it actually looks like one of the men's charges has been downgraded. Should we read into that? What does that mean?
That means that I said I'm closing the discussion on it. Next question.
Any other questions?
And looking at your stats, some of the categories are up, some of them are down, some of them haven't changed. Are those numbers where you want them to be, and how do you think the police?
I would like them to show all zeros. I would really, really like that. So we would really want the violent crime to go down. You know, we need to get hold of the gun crime. That is a big concern in Richmond and across the country as well too. And we would also like to see it reciprocated on the property crime side too. You know, but we need the community's help on both ends.
Other than Operation Red Ball, how else are you going to get crime down?
We have a summer initiative that we're actually doing and utilizing evidence-based to actually push that forward as well too. And our next crime briefing, we should be covering that in that as well too.
The New York Times had a story today about the murder rate trending downward slightly so far this year in most cities. I understand that y'all are level. I mean, are you encouraged at all by the trend that it's not up at this point?
I'm encouraged to go. I'm encouraged by it a great deal. Great deal. Not by the trend as much as the work of the officers here who are actually affecting that trend. They are doing some very, very good work, outstanding work. So, yeah, we have seen some of the other major cities start to see a downturn, and their numbers were extremely way high. I think Philadelphia was one of the first ones. So, getting back to a sense of being normal outside of the pandemic helps a great deal. Great deal. When we actually are converse, be face-to-face, go out to a community, have a pop-up event, makes a difference. Makes a huge difference.
The city has unveiled a number of gun violence initiative programs over the past couple of years. In your opinion, do you think that they're working, and looking at the numbers, is the data showing that these programs that are being unveiled and being launched actually proving to be effective?
I don't know what the data is on those programs as of yet, but those kind of programs are needed. We cannot police our way out of this. You could double the size of this police department and continue to arrest people for crimes over and over again, or you can actually address those factors that push people towards crime. And that is what the city's goal is. The police department will do our part on both sides of that coin, but it takes a community to actually reduce those factors and people being pushed towards crime.
I just want to ask about the July 6th press conference about the alleged mass shooting plot. Is there anything that you said during that press conference that you wish, looking back, you wouldn't have said?
I'll say what I said today, is that I'm closing the discussion on it. Okay? All right. All right, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Want to make sure you have the 25th on